Page 2 in here. That's almost like.
It is, I think Shondell changed the filters, so we
You
just
want
saved
some?
the boiler.
I went and got a can on the way. It's chilly in here. Who's our maintenance guy?
He's already said something about it, so I got the families going.
So,
I'm sure Shondell turned off the boilers because.
we have the, I'm not seeing it, the resolutions.
They're in the actual budget. They're page 2 or page 3 and 4.
Are we doing the food service one?
Did you add it to
Yes.
my tab?
Okay. From,
So
okay,
page 1 is the title, page 2 is the table of contents, and page 3.
Okay.
are the resolutions.
I work for Mountain Dew.
Do you?
Yes, I
okay,
do, just to let you know.
That.
I don't see
You
them.
and Grant.
Yes.
They did make it in your packet there.
No.
Well,
They
you like
should still
stickers. I
on-
like musketeers.
On the website though.
Are they on the website?
What's not in here?
Oh.
The actual resolution that we have to read into the record.
The full budget
Did you
one.
get it?
That you had the full budget last
Studying.
week.
Came in, I was working with Mitch at first because he's like, is this full?
Show the table of contents and then.
He was afraid, he was like, you ordered or whatever, so I brought him in and.
Adopted budget.
You ready?
No,
Thanks for
there.
giving Deja a ride home yesterday.
So you guys are
Dr.
recording
Schmidt.
right now?
Yeah,
I didn't know she was supposed to come to my house,
Hey,
so.
that's okay.
We're recording live.
Already.
Just remember that.
Is that you being defined belligerent again, Ms. Pinojos?
Do we record live ahead of the
Send me
meeting?
home.
Well, typically
Apparently
not,
we
we're
do.
trying to get this working, so she started it right now.
TJ's been bad too, and so has Jasmine.
So, we're trying to
You
get
guys
the
all
queue set.
ignored
Third reprimand
Thanks
this
for
year?
You're on it.
Call Irene all the time.
She's a good person to have, Jasmine.
But Grant, aren't the numbers,
Aw.
Look at me, I'm right here. I'm right here, baby.
I don't think I want to do that since. You think, did we remember the blue pony?
No. Oh. Irene, I told you, don't let me forget. See what happens? Hey, we're
Can't
being
trust the
recorded.
secretary to do anything right.
Technical difficulties.
I don't come through. I think we all have. I don't know, I had one.
Thank you.
I'm a bearer of good gifts today.
It's just out there, man. Just stop being over the aren't you? Because we love it.
Okay. Randy, this one is short, sweet, to the point, right, we're out of here in half an hour?
that's what I've told my daughter. That's what my wife is expecting.
Okay, I'm gonna start using that one.
You like that,
I
don't you?
do. Okay. Already auditioned in Colorado.
You know, you set the standard last week.
Oh, I know, I didn't
And
know
then-
how to dress
And
this
then
week.
Dwight came in with a tie, and he told me the reason he wore a tie is because his wife said, you know, you're on the Board of Education now. You should wear a tie to those meetings. So, I know.
Now you're gonna tie, now watch you
So
come
here's
and
what,
tie.
And then today I don't wear Delta pants.
It's a work session, right?
no, it's a special meeting,
Oh,
it's
is
not a
it?
work session. See,
Well,
there's
it's a work session, it's a work session for me because I'm here and I'm working.
Right?
So Danielle, remind me to do our pictures tonight. I
Oh,
totally
I
forgot.
didn't dress for it, but
Oh,
okay.
you're fine.
Be careful, Mr. Underwood.
Oh, there is one person watching.
That's probably your wife.
Probably.
She's gonna be texting you here in a minute.
Oh, phone off, phone off, phone off.
I've went a week with no cell phone and it's been very peaceful.
Wow.
Week?
Yes.
What are you
because,
doing?
I washed my cell phone.
Oh.
My husband and I, we never break our phones, so we don't pay the extra
Insurance,
$20,000
right, yeah.
a month for insurance. We don't do it. Well,
Right.
I washed mine. I was just in a hurry, just doing the laundry, threw it in there, didn't realize until almost the end of the wash. And I put it in rice, and then it turned on for a little bit, and then it started going and glitching on me, and now it just has a black screen.
Sorry to
Nothing.
turn off.
But my husband's like, you need to go, you need to go, and I'm like, I'm enjoying this.
Yeah.
So I'll put it off as long as I can. I'm gonna have to go tomorrow, but it's just a rip-off. That's the business I should have been in. Cell phones.
We don't get our insurance to
So great.
the company for like Verizon or Square. It's Square something.
Oh, really?
What we do tonight, change the resolution.
Good.
Not the money we have
Pretty
available.
much.
So that's our total
So-
appropriation, so that won't change.
Okay.
The only thing it could change is if you guys for some reason had a change on the,
Food
no,
service.
that's the total appropriation of food service. So if you wanted us for some reason to put more in food service or take more out,
I have no.
it would change that, otherwise it'd be fine.
Okay. All right. Then all I need is a number.
Yes. I'll get that going, but doesn't it make you uncomfortable when Cindy starts whispering and she says your
She's
name?
whispering
And she says your name?
because we're live feed right now.
Oh, I thought it's because I heard, and Randy said.
And Randy, what
Are you
Mike,
starting?
you were
Yes, I am.
Declare victory.
Okay. I don't know if he's coming with a tie or not, but I'm just saying.
Dwight,
Yeah.
he has a tie.
Oh, he does.
He has a American flag tie, I think it is.
Oh, gosh.
I can't drop the ball again.
Well, and then
I
Tag
set
came
my
up to me
standard
after.
high by coming to the first meeting
You did.
in a business
You
jacket.
did. And Tag came up to me after school and he says, I'm not gonna have time to change. I'm like, that's okay. That whole dress code thing was a joke and we're just playing around and don't worry about it. And, you know, he's got his Hanover athletic polo because it's picture day for the teams. And he's in a pair of khakis. I'm like, that's great.
fine, yeah.
It's not like you're cut off jean shorts and cut the sleeves off your t-shirt or something.
It's true.
I mean, maybe I might say something to him if that were the case, but otherwise, no. Khakis and a polo, man, that's perfect.
This is like comfortable and stuff. There's a good chance that they fixed that. I don't know if you guys go onto YouTube if you did.
Dana says she spent 3 hours on it today with the tech guy, Mitch. So,
Went forever, yeah.
3+, I think.
I'm just curious to see if it's the stutter video or not. So I'm gonna look at it. Multitask. It's just amazing. It's always the same time when we're in here, TJ.
I'm sorry, so what?
It's always the same time we're in here. It's just so coincidental, even down to the second. When that
I
clock.
was told about that.
you were told about that 2 months ago at the board meeting.
My memory is horrible.
That's why they make this.
You wanna see how many pictures I got?
Well, take a picture
People
of the
take
clock.
notes, I take pictures.
Take a picture of the clock. That way it'll jog your memory. Thought I had it.
Now. Version 3 is opening.
By the way, we're live streaming right now, so.
It was supposed to be on
That's
the
right.
chest.
It's right here.
Rolls up in the back.
Awesome.
So we're already on?
Yeah, we're already on.
TJ's still looking. How you doing there, sir?
Okay, I reckon.
You reckon? So you're gonna talk?
Yeah. Had to try to fulfill the standards that you set there, sir.
You can thank my daughter for that.
Which one?
T-Rex.
Oh.
Be good, Mr. Decker.
I think the first thing we're gonna do when we start talking about the budget is lowering the business manager's salary.
Can't go no lower than that, can it? Really? Oh, you're for Mountain Dew.
And that
We
comes
can
from your
afford
husband.
that. We can afford Mountain Dew if that's what you work for.
This,
Something good barter.
she bought this.
That's a good barter. That's even better. She's buying it for you. We'll do that.
He got me a Starbucks.
Well, that's overrated. I'd rather the Mountain Dew than Starbucks. Get a much bigger Mountain Dew for that price.
Not me.
So we do still have about a 10-second delay. It's still a little stuttery, but as long as the volume can be heard,
Yeah.
that'll work.
Here's,
That'll be nice.
So, number 4.
So did you want me to work with you on that?
It was originally proposed going to be
It's in for its
39.7.
Right.
inspection.
Then an additional 46, pre-165.
Okay, so 39.46, right?
Yes. So then the initial adopted was 86.
Big nine in
Okay.
the bag.
And then we started talking about the 165. Right. Okay, so it's 86.
I know, that was my biggest thing, I did, don't tell her that. I
Driver's
was-
system.
Oh, no, no, no.
Plus
Oh, well,
She got
she knows that because she's
Radio.
fine.
She had drill.
It was a
She had drill this
251 then
weekend, she
change.
got sent home.
Yep.
Because we closed, that's when the government shut down. So she's like, I can go out to do.
So as of what you sent us with the little highlight yellow thing,
Like,
Yes.
sign it now.
Right now.
that puts
Let me get those
77.5
for you.
Navy or Navy?
in the fund
Thank
balance.
God, that means
Okay.
she's not moving to California, she's not getting
And-
married.
You don't like that guy?
It's a
And I'll
7-10.
share.
And that's if we go
We paid,
max on the
I
AV.
think I paid 24.5.
Yes.
We can't do all.
We're just getting married and pregnant, and babies.
It's 100.
It's only got,
I only put it in
mileage,
10,000.
it's ridiculous.
I know, but the other end of it was 48.
20,000 miles.
Oh, the low end is 48, the high end is 100.
Yeah, it's.
Oh, okay.
Selena's supposed to come home this
And
week.
so, and I'll share with the board, my feeling is that the most pressing
She
need
said
is
that.
The
audio.
rent vehicles, the rent vans.
So we should address audio for sure.
And
And I'm thinking that we might be able to do some of
Yeah,
that.
I was looking
Lights,
at
self, just get LED
cheap
bulbs.
enough. Yeah.
I just had to do it. I just had to put distance.
I don't know if they make LED bulbs.
I don't either, I'm just thinking the
Everybody
district
thinks it's
style.
like one here.
You know?
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah,
Brother.
but we do need to hit audio. That's been all everyone's awareness.
So if we put,
Hello, young lady.
they,
So if we-
LED from us, everything.
As you can see, a little thing.
so if we put the min or 10K
I'm doing well.
in there, then that'll plus up the fund balance 115 and a
Once
half,
that's gone,
Yeah.
once that's
And
gone,
a 5-hour.
which would bring us to
That's my vibe.
That's my favorite
635.
part of high school.
And
If I were to have
I had to add a
like 4 or
couple
5
things,
sips
even
of
after I
that
sent it to
Mountain
you
Dew, I'd
guys.
be up and
Right.
down.
that we're gonna have to talk
you've
about.
got to
yeah.
be kidding me.
The new mid is
The amount of
1.6,
sugar-
I
the
drink
new
that
max
before I go to bed.
is 15.
I don't understand, I don't know how you
I
got
don't
the
think
mins
so
and maxes,
anymore.
so.
Oh, the mid is the lowest AV.
I tell you, I am this weight, and I don't drink.
So 48 versus 100, or 10 versus,
48 versus 127, that was the highest bid that she gave me this
I drink
afternoon.
one soda like every month, one soda a month, maybe.
definitely can't afford that.
No.
But, you know, if we do the 48, I think that we might be able to do everything if we, you know, do some of it ourselves.
Definitely.
And then, like I said, so if we do that, and that'll put 77 and a half in.
So right now, what I'm showing with just that little bit amount, and I'm gonna project this, we'll all look at it. Is an additional 37,000. But if you go all the way to the 48, it'd be another 45, so I initially just put 40 or 5. Because, which board we have to approve, but we initially did 5,000, I think 2 years ago.
Right.
Didn't get spent, so it wouldn't fund balance. Even though we don't have a signed unassigned, it's kind of known we have it. So we could just say.
So we could do 15.
You could do a total of 15 by essentially saying we're taking 5 from what was there and adding 10, 15. If you did 15, then it would go up to 42,000 adding onto what you guys have.
Okay, I need to see those other
With
things.
me, should put there. You and I can just exchange seats. Do some numbered stuff.
Okay.
Or you can pull, you can
No, no,
snuggle right up here with Irene and I.
no, I'm good. I would prefer to sit right back there with my compadres.
Oh,
You can start right there with your ship.
Maybe coaching duties.
Now we are.
Irene, do we have a gavel?
Oh, shoot, you want the gavel?
I think that's the protocol. I mean, I don't know for sure.
You could use it for this, like, not that. You know, we need to get you the Senate gavel. Isn't it the Senate that has the giant one?
Two-handed.
Now, isn't that the
And
stock market?
State of the Union uses the big one too.
Recorder.
Mr. Doctor.
On the what?
I got quite another one.
The recorder you used to have?
Oh, geez.
We are looking for it.
So serious.
We will find it.
Well, not the one
But we had to switch off and then now we're not sure where it ended up. So it will be found.
We'll have a new one for we'll have it for the next meeting.
For a little bit, how about that?
That's fine.
It'll look just like the old fashioned one, this one's ready to see it. Recorder. And the little wheels.
There you go.
Morning coaches, or afternoon? Evening.
Holy mackerel, I guess it's time, huh?
30 seconds.
Thank you, Dana.
Here's 1 minute.
Yeah.
Hey, psst.
1 minute.
What? You're welcome.
No. No popcorn? I told you to have.
Tucker ate it all.
Only
I told him that we needed to save some, but he
teachers
just.
meeting in town, in the other room, I mean.
Well, I was in there
the
for
teachers.
that, and I said, man, I think you might make everybody smile at the board meeting, you know,
Yeah.
if there was some popcorn, but.
No, we see how we rate the division.
So that's.
Temporary.
This is the one that put it on the board.
All right.
Waiting for a train. Watching the clock.
All right, so it is 6:30 PM, January 24th, 2018. Calling a special board meeting to order. So we would all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I guess we have one student who will lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, can I get a roll call, please?
Mr. Allen.
Here.
Ms. Combs. Here. Mr. Smith.
Here?
Mr. Swayze.
Here.
Mr. Underwood.
Here. All right, that brings us to 3.0, approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve or amend the agenda?
I so move we approve the agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen.
Aye.
Ms. Combs. Aye. Mr. Smith.
Aye.
Mr. Swayze.
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye. Brings us to 4.01, revised board policy, BEDB agenda. Do I have a motion to approve 4.01?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All right, discussion. It's in your packet. Basically, we're just making the line items that are in there a strong recommendation instead of a thou shalt. Because there are certain situations where we need to move it around. And for instance, if we know we're not going to have a student presentation, why put it on the agenda? That kind of a thing. So, any other questions, comments, discussion?
Why did this come up red?
It came up, the other red was I just went to CRS to see how they worded the special, because up above, it made it sound like you can amend the special board meeting agenda
You can with a unanimous vote.
with a unanimous vote. So that's why I struck it up there and it was clear down below.
And actually, the way they have it in the CASB policy online is they have the text in the policy, and then they have the actual agenda as an exhibit.
Okay.
Um,
So that could be something.
It's
fine as is.
I like it.
And then I threw it in next to DAC, since DAC doesn't necessarily come to every meeting.
Right, yeah, and like for instance, every election, the meeting after the election, we have to swap things up. So we can do act on from the old board and then first read for the new board, so,
Actually, with this change to the policy, we don't even have to put if needed in there because anything can be taken out if it's not.
and anything can be added if
Anything
it's.
can be added, so your if needed is actually
It really
redundant.
applies to everything.
Right, 'cause
For the most part.
it applies to the entire agenda.
But I think it's fine the way it
Yeah.
is. Just May was the big word that I wanted to.
I dated this tonight in case you wanted to do it as a temporary approval now.
Well, this is the second read of this.
Of the agenda?
Yeah. We read it
Did we
in
read it once?
December, the special board meeting. Yes, we did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Good job.
We did.
Because collectively our memories were really slacking right there.
Well, you know, certain things that stick in my brain.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so when we vote and approve on this time, it's not a temporary approval, it's the second read.
Excellent.
Questions, comments, any further discussion? All right, call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Combs?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. Brings us to 4.02, 2017-18 adopted budget. Do I have a motion to approve 4.02?
I'll make a motion.
Do I have a second?
A second?
All right. Discussion. Mr. Superintendent, sir, I think you have a presentation.
You have in front of your packet the latest version of all the things that were submitted from staff. And
It's behind the agenda,
Oh, in the
because it
front.
came in late, so I just stuck it behind the
Right
agenda.
there.
Pocket.
you know, when they got rid of overhead projectors and went for these, we're supposed to be better coordinated, and it's still, it's about the same when you're trying to move the transparency thing. We received, and you can look down the long list, we had at least 36 individuals who either read the email or, and didn't provide response or did provide response. Considering we have right around 58 employees, we heard from just over half. And what you have for you is the list, and for the sake of, do you mind turning the camera so it looks at the screen?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, perfect. For the sake of the individuals who may be watching online, is it zoomed in where they might be able to see it? I can make this bigger, just for, full transparency. We have things from facilities, transportation, items for staff in terms of laptops, curriculum things in terms of science and weights for the weight room, since we have a weights class, it's not just for athletics. And then things to improve the program for our drama and arts, and also vocal music and instrumental too. We have something for that, some playground things that were for Prairie Heights, and then capitalizing on our solar, but we can absorb that within our own budget, it's only $165. And then financial software to be able to improve our efficiencies with that. That's how I'm briefly categorizing all three. So what I present to you guys to start our conversation is I looked at the cost from everybody and made a recommendation in yellow in the middle column that says in adopted budget. The non-yellow items are in the adopted budget you guys received last week. These additional things is what I'm recommending to get our conversation going first. So it increases by $37,000 the total amount of monies to spend out of the $165,000 that we have available to us. And I heard some folks say that they didn't know. I was asked by two parents this week about, hey, where'd that money come from? So since we have the audio going, I'd like to restate it, because we didn't have audio last week. Is that, so I apologize for redundancy for you guys. Is that 3 years ago, we were hit with an abatement and then another abatement behind it, and in order to make sure we covered our bond obligations, we shifted money from the general fund into the bond redemption fund. We then adjusted the mill for our bond redemption fund to actually go up to 2 total mills. So we are recovering that abatement automatically now with the mills, so we no longer need to have that money sitting over there as a backup. So we have transferred that money back over. So we basically had a loan that created a savings account. So we're moving it over, it's $165,000. And my initial recommendation and then the board's request last week was to get some input from staff on how we can consider some, if not all, that money. And so that's what we did. Staff were solicited through an email to everyone in the district, shared about the 165, why we have it, and asked to provide input on recommendations, which their recommendation was to include an estimate cost. And so what I have before you now is that list. After we're finished tonight, we can finalize the list, and then we'll post this on the webpage so people can see what was considered and what we settled on. So that part will be done first. So with that, if you want to ask questions or advocate for something, we can get going on that.
What's this software that started, Mr. President? You mind if I ask Cindy something?
I yield, sir.
Thank you. Financial software, what's that update, Cindy?
Well, right now, we're currently running on AptiFund 3.0.
Yeah.
And the upgrade from just on the software standpoint would be 4.1, which currently on our state reports, the 3.0 does not have that capability. So to upgrade to the 4.1, you will get your HR reporting, your state reporting. And so that will make us a little bit more efficient instead of us having to manually put that in a spreadsheet and then upload. If we have the information in there, we'll go from there. So then we went a little bit further, and my recommendation would be to go to it has the function to do like timesheets and stuff like that. So therefore we would go back to time clocks, but it'll be a biometrics time clock where they put their finger to it, and then that data goes straight into, and it links up to, first to their director, and they will still approve their timesheets, but it's all in electronic form. And then that, after they approve it, then it will sync up into AptiFund, so therefore that alleviates me having to dissect those timesheets. And that alleviates the head directors chasing everybody around for the timesheets and, you know, that lag. And it's going to make us a little bit more efficient and a little...
So this $11,000 is not just software, it's the hardware for the
It's the hardware, it's everything.
I'm sorry.
Yes. So basically, you're turning into Big Brother is what you're telling me. So I'm gonna walk in, my work for the district, I'm gonna walk inside, I'm gonna put my finger on a machine, and it's gonna say, oh, he's in the building. And then at the end of the day, I press my finger again, oh, he's clocked out.
Only classified hourly wage employees.
But it also has the capability to request inside of the time clock any requests for leave or time. It's all built in there. And they're able to say, okay, well, this is when this employee is supposed to be scheduled here. And so it will not allow them to clock in until that time unless their director has went in there and said.
So the director can set work hours also?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's all in there.
So when I want to go on leave, like, can I get to the software to request leave?
You can, or you can just go right into the clock itself and request it. It'll be all up in there, and you can do it in there, you can do it in the
So
software.
it's like a really smart screen then.
And everything
that's-
syncs up
Everything
together.
syncs up to our,
So it's definitely gonna hold everybody.
That'll keep the auditors
Yes.
from saying we're not
And-
keeping track of
and
their
eliminate
hours
humans.
too, and that's what he's
yes,
doing.
because
Okay.
History for
It's
you all to
biometric.
know is
Okay.
that
it's that person.
maybe 3 years, up to 3 years ago, we actually did the old-fashioned time card,
Yeah.
time clock, and punch. What we found is some of the employees, let's just say maybe one or two, who are early workers or late workers, were manipulating the system.
Yeah.
I know I need to be there times to go back home because no one's there to monitor me. We didn't have cameras either, and then show up just in time or in the evening. I'm supposed to work till 10 on the clock. I'm actually going to leave, go home for an hour or two, maybe 3, come back.
Or I would clock tag in even though he wasn't there,
Right.
and he would clock me out even though I'd already left 2 hours ago.
So our solution, we originally wanted to do this then, but the cost of the product then was higher than what they're proposing now. So we went to the time card that was created. That way they have to initial and then directors look and see what they're doing. So this would take that step out and save quite a bit of time, because that process is 10 key, time sheet, time cards, checking it, and if they have additional hours or overtime, then we have to make sure that their supervisor knew they actually took that, they were supposed to or not, because we had issues in the past with people who were saying they had overtime.
Right.
And so this system, as she said, will actually send a flag. So if Ed comes in, puts his thumb on there 30 minutes early, it will communicate to his supervisor that on that day he came in 30 minutes early, and then you would need to say, yes, it was approved, or no, it wasn't, and then it'll automatically show when you're supposed to show up.
And how many of these biometric devices?
4. I put in 4. I put one for the bus and the maintenance down at the
Oh, okay,
TJ's
the other
area.
building.
So they don't have to come over here. They can go straight to where they're at. And then one in the teacher's lounge at the high school, one at the kitchen door, and then one over at Parent Heights.
Because the kitchen staff come in the back door.
They come in the back.
Question. Is this a cloud-based program or is it
Yes,
server-based?
it is.
Okay.
So therefore, it can be accessed anywhere.
So what happens if, say, Prairie Heights, their internet's down for 3 days? Does that clock store?
Yes,
That
it stores
information?
it and then it waits for the connection, just like our POS system in the kitchen.
Okay.
It is cloud-based, so while we're scanning lunches
Point of
and stuff
sale,
like that.
gentlemen, point of sale.
That's what I was telling you.
I thought nothing other, Fred.
You are military.
And how will,
Did I get myself in trouble?
Is there any reason why we need that video over here though? We don't need
Well-
one in the teacher's lounge. What if we just put it back there for the cooks and Francesca and TJ can walk back there and clock in?
Well, because you got the bus people,
Right?
which are on a time.
He's meaning in this building.
Oh,
Yeah, this building, didn't you say 3?
No.
2?
One over there.
No, 2 here and 1 over there.
Yeah,
No.
Can't we just do 1 here in this building?
we can if that's what you want
How
to
much
do.
is
How
the
much-
difference?
It's
that's-
$550 for the time clock itself.
Just 500?
If it was over 1,000, I was gonna be like, no!
That's what I was hoping it was, and I was gonna say, oh, great. then
But
it's
it
just
also,
gonna go.
it also pays for the, what is it?
While she looks that up, our REAP money is going towards infrastructure improvements. And we already did a PO for that on Friday. So our hope is that that'll be completed in the next month. So that should reduce significantly the connectivity issue. Because at Prairie Heights, we use what's made for homes, routers, and we have 3 of them. So we're getting real access points. We're not getting the home routers.
So has that been the problem? The routers haven't worked or the data coming in hasn't worked?
The vast majority of the time is the router. We had one instance this fall when we had, like a week of all clouds. And so our solar wasn't working, recharging the batteries. And so what we're looking at, we talked to the vendor on that, is putting a mini turbine on there that would then hopefully still run. Hopefully it's not a cloudy, maybe this day. But there is a bill, since you're still looking, and you can have superintendent report. There's a bill that's coming through that has great possibilities to yet again do the broadband to rural schools and actually make it more point-to-point. And we're one of those scenarios that they chose the main address, which is the old school building. And that was their obligation the first time. So this, if it passes, would provide money and we qualify, where then they would have to put the fiber connected over to Gray Heights.
So will our current infrastructure here support that 3 additional taps? Or the 2 here and the 1 over there?
Yeah, we can get a gig of speed right.
I mean, just the current switches have space on them.
Oh, that's part of the upgrade.
So if we don't get the upgrade, we can't do the.
Oh, we're getting the
done deal?
upgrade?
So it's a done deal, it's paid for?
Yes, it's in the, you guys will end up seeing a request for it at the next board meeting, because we're right now just in the process of getting the initial work going.
Okay, so this that you gave us in our packet,
Yes.
as it sits right now, based on the numbers we talked about a little bit earlier, puts 98 plus, almost $99,000 into the fund balance.
Okay? You're doing the math there, yes.
Yeah, I made a little spreadsheet.
And I'll flip.
Because I got so
This is
caught
version
up in
4.
looking at the line item that I didn't check the bottom line until today. So it looks like, except for one instance, every one of these requests, we've either fully funded or not funded.
Yeah, the idea was to attempt to address as many as we could instead of let one item take all the money out.
Right.
2 items.
I mean, I definitely think, you know, there's 2 requests here for about the playground and 1 for the parking lot over Prairie Heights. And, you know, Matt, I have to think that some kind of, that's all in the strategic plan.
The playground equipment, PTO, we did a fundraiser last year, the target was playground equipment in terms of toys and things. The other playground equipment from Rebecca Dunn, that's to add a swing. The reason why I'm not recommending that is because our bigger plan for that playground is a total overhaul. So I'd hate to put $1,800 in and a year or 2 we get a go-go and then it's.
And then the more playground space, I assume part of that GOCO is to expand the playground.
We already have permission from Chief, I don't know if it's been voted on by the board, that we can use the space that is just to the west of the firehouse there, and that all the way over to the telephone poles. And I walked it off, it's about a 55-yard in length and maybe 25 yards the other way, 20, 25. We can have that, we can use it. If we get some community support, I know that we have some community members who have things that can grade it and make that more of a soccer play area. The bigger vision that I've always had is if that could eventually be turf, not grass. Turf, but that's quite expensive, so we'd have to rely on some other grant to come along. Because the other thing is the parking lot just to the south of the school and to the east of the firehouse area. That I also had envisioned taking most of that and making that more of a baseball, softball field, which we can almost do on our own because it's just fencing we could initially do, but it's very rough. We'd have to grade it, but it still would be pretty rough. So we could do kickball and t-ball type things on it now. Our kids go up there for PE right now, and at recess, we gave them, they have.
On the gravel?
Yeah, the dirt. We let them go up there to do little baseball stuff.
Yeah.
That's like the bigger view. I know that some people have that grander view, which again, if any of us would have had an opportunity to have input where they put the school on the grounds,
Exactly.
we would not have put it there. We have the 2 white containers that are next to the modular. If you remove those, the land behind there is relatively flat. It's long and narrow, but it's relatively flat. That would also be a better place to have more of an open field where kids can play versus right up by the road.
Right.
But if you could still create a soccer area, because you already started a youth basketball, I think there was some youth volleyball.
Well, we had soccer too.
Oh, yeah, but you were doing the gym.
Yeah, we were using the gym.
It'd be nice to be able to have youth softball,
Yeah.
baseball, and soccer out on the field. Just general wellness and community building.
So we'll look at those kinds of things long-term.
Long answer
strategic
for that,
plan.
sorry about that.
No, that's fine.
And the ground cover, we don't have a price because we don't know what it would be. The idea was maybe have some grass. However, preschool has a fund balance and we're going to use that because you have to use that for a little while or the CD is going to say you don't need that much funding. We're going to reduce. It's about $23,000 in the budget. $15,000 of equipment, new play equipment set that we're gonna purchase. Will come through you guys when we have it, because it's over the authorization amount. We'll put that in, and then she would like to put down some grass or turf in an area right up against the building between the sidewalk, if you can visualize walking in Prairie Heights out towards the modulars. It's nice because it does provide some shade, and she wants to have a water thing that kids play with. So that way they would have some soft ground to be on. And that can be shared with our older kids. They just can't be on the playground at the same time at preschool.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
And you're gonna see, side note, you're gonna see recognition come on the website tomorrow because our preschool is one of only 3 in all of the Colorado Springs area that has Quality Star rating 4 out of 5 stars. And the rest of them are in Denver. Just a little side note, because that's awesome. She's been working hard.
What's this other thing, that sound system, Terry Arts, Prairie Heights Elementary?
So what we were looking at initially, because the sound's not great in there, and you can also tell in the board meetings the sound was down. So I initially said, hey, what if we just bought 4 speakers, just basic speakers, put them in the corner and just wire them with wire, drop them down where we normally put this box, and then that can have an automatic plug. So it went from just that to then, well, let's talk to some people who know sound. And you know, as soon as you do that, they're like, opportunity. So they wanted to charge us like $5,000 to $10,000 because they wanted to do all kinds of things, including one option was that big dome speaker you can put up like we have over here in the old gym. And that's beyond what we need for that space. So the idea was $1,000, thinking we probably won't spend that much, but not knowing what kind of equipment we need once we string down. I don't know, you guys may know technology. Once we get all these speaker wires coming down, we may have to turn it into a jack, and I don't know what that process is. And we also thought it'd be nice if we had our own. Right now we have this one, and we have another one, and you guys need one here. So we have 2 of these amplifier things. And so that would get us another amplifier, so one would stay here instead of going back and forth, and the boards would stay just as the board.
Make sure you look at Bluetooth also, because
Okay.
that technology is like down to nothing.
Yeah, it's real cheap, right?
And you might think wires are easy to do, but I wired up the mailboxes for lights, and I had to put it in conduit because it got pulled out like 4 times.
Okay.
So wires,
Yeah, all depends on where you wire it to.
yeah, but
Yeah.
Bluetooth comes,
In the end,
Bluetooth,
you're probably gonna need conduit.
yeah, Bluetooth is very reasonable, and you can move them around a lot, and it's more versatile.
Well, we're looking at all that. TJ and Chuck and I are trying to figure out what would be the best solution. And then also for our concerts, so we can hear a little bit better. When the kids are singing, that's one of the best sounds in the world,
Yeah.
is kids singing in the choir concert.
Yeah, I think it's worth that $1,000 investment.
One thing that didn't get there that Danelle reminded me, and I just got the final, just as we were leaving. Do you want to explain it? I don't mind, but you might have greater detail about it than I do.
So Mr. Scott, our special ed teacher, was talking, and his recommendation is basically, as you guys all know, and teachers know, when they come in at PD days, when you sit in those desks in the classroom, our kids do that every day. But a lot of those desks are pretty rough. There's some that you feel like you're almost laying back down in. They're hard, they're uncomfortable. So his idea is to make one of the narrow, kind of 3-person tables, and then comfy chairs that would go in every classroom in the building. Make it more comfortable for kids so they enjoy being in there. They can spread out their stuff, they'll learn better, they'll learn more. And we talked about it tonight during our staff meeting, and the staff was very excited about that. So it's, when we talk about getting our kids engaged in what we're doing, and there's the room and the space and some comfort level to it, it's gonna make it more enjoyable. Because I know TJ's always trying to, get new desks in here for ones that are broken or so forth. But like I said, there's a few that you feel like you're leaning back as you're sitting in, because they're old.
So fiscal impact?
What's that?
What's the fiscal impact of that?
It is, the max is $31,400 because it factored in 160 students, so 160 chairs plus the tables, sitting 2 kids at it, so that'd be 80 tables and 160 chairs. So that would be max.
Would that be in every classroom?
That would be here at the
That'd be
junior
every
senior high
classroom
school.
over
Now,
there.
the option, I guess, could be you do 1 or 2 rooms.
And
And
get
so
started.
PD time, staff, and meetings here would have a comfortable seating arrangements for kids, but
Again, what was that total? Was it 31,000?
31.4.
31,400.
I highlighted it up there, I don't know if you can.
I can't see that.
Okay.
That's all right. My bifocals don't quite zoom that well.
It gets transitioned and
I
then.
just need new ones.
I do.
Then you look for,
I know.
because they go like that too.
And you're recommending fully funding that?
I didn't recommend anything
But-
yet.
Okay.
So my recommendation to you guys is the solar flashing school zone lights,
He can't get them cheaper. He's been looking at them for a year.
2,500 pieces.
25 apiece.
Yeah.
And they're just like the ones that go in the Ellicott. You know, they're not hardwired, they're just, that's little
Yeah,
solar
solar.
panel. And nice flashing lights. These people pass through.
Now, are
those
they
school
tied to
zones.
some kind of system to know when to flash?
You program it,
Okay.
Program each one in place or
yeah. It has no
Ellicott's-
wiring running
no
anywhere.
Wi-Fi or
Yeah.
anything?
Ellicott's a flash almost all the time.
Everyone's must-
Flashers.
That one, oh, sorry.
Going back to the chairs.
Yes.
I know, well, do you think this truly will have an impact on the students and their learning?
I do. Like I said, there are some chairs that teachers, they put duct tape on them to keep it from
Right.
ripping somebody's clothes. And truly, like I said, if you sit in them for any length of time, they're not comfortable. You know, my thing is I just mentioned, we're not getting recliners, you know,
Right.
that type of thing. But something that is a little bit more comfortable, again, the space that they can spread out. When a lot of classrooms are doing some of the project-based learning, you're gonna need the space for it. And like I said, they pull tables or the desks together for pods, but they're different sizes, sometimes different, you know, widths and stuff. So this will be nice. And honestly, when you talk about school spirit and pride in what we're doing, that's a huge piece as well.
And the staff supported it, the majority of the staff, or all of them?
Yep,
or-
tonight in our staff meeting, when I brought it out, they were like, really, what? That would be so neat. So
As they were sitting in an uncomfortable
As they were
chair.
sitting in the uncomfortable chairs in the computer labs. So,
Okay.
I still hope so.
So,
Oh, yeah, they did try to do it.
if we fully fund that,
Well, I would have a recommendation for you guys, is those large items, because I was gonna come down to AV equipment, the minimum is 48,000, the high is 120 something, is consider maybe you just fund some of it, and then, since next year we're doing assigned to unassigned, we could have an assigned that goes towards, student seating or something.
Right, yeah, right.
And have another assigned that goes toward AV
so
system.
phase it in over years.
Then you can phase it in, and if maybe next year we have the session might be friendly for us. And like I said, we're supposed to potentially get supplemental money. They had their meeting yesterday morning, the JVC, they talked about the supplemental, and then there'll be an announcement probably sometime by Tuesday of next week, how much we're getting. Point is, then you can start feeding in there.
Not to minimize, but my thought would be to do it all at once, because I hate to create a thought of have and have-nots. And
But you could do it high school.
We don't need to do elementary because we built in our elementary budget alternative seating. And so we have alternative seating in first grade already.
Oh, yeah, they got
In
nice.
third grade already, and a little bit's happening in fourth grade. So we can work within our budget to do that. So that total amount is just for the junior, senior high.
I can see phase into one whole school.
Wing.
Yeah,
And
we
whole-
could do the high
allow
school
me to clarify
first,
as
and
well.
then-
In the middle school.
This is based on 8 regular ed classrooms only. And so I'm guessing they're just the pod rooms,
Is that 31,000?
the regular content. He has
I
in
was
here
gonna say,
8.
I know when we talked, it was every classroom,
2, 3,
so.
4.
Yeah,
And again, it wasn't like you said.
for
he's
8
in the
traditional
general.
classrooms.
Yeah.
So he looked at, you know, kind of what he pulled up at first. So I think once we do a little bit more research, we can get, you know, see what kind of pricing, what kind of deal that they'll make for that piece as well. So it wasn't set on this specific one or this chair per se, but kind of that average range.
Ballpark figure.
Right. And he did put examples in there as well.
We go to the AV stuff for Miss Clark, how we gonna decide what we approve and what we don't? I mean, that goes
that-
48 to 127, that's kinda,
I got a soft spot.
well, I know you do.
For that, because I've worked in, you know, backstage there for years now, and
I know it's very poor.
I would-
Very poor.
I would
Yeah,
love,
backstage management is.
I agree, I mean, you know.
well, that's what I quit, so we can improve the management back there.
But the-
you can't,
the
you
headlamp
can't,
and the
you
black
can't
outfit
tell
is
me,
pretty awesome.
well, here, we're only gonna give you 20, you figure out what's more important, what's not. I think
Well,
that
I
should be.
think we need to look at it from the same perspective we just talked about with the
Exactly.
chairs, maybe a phased-in approach. Give a little bit out of here, and I think a little bit's more than
So
the superintendent's
You guys-
recommending, but
Well,
we can give
because,
some out of this.
I'll explain it. We have 5,000 that we budgeted 2 years ago, we never spent it, so it rolled into fund balance. So in my mind, we still have 5,000 in fund balance that we're gonna use, but we don't. So we could take the 5 that I put there, plus the 5,000 there, and that's $10,000. That would address at a minimum some of the audio. The greatest issue is audio. Then, which Tricia mentioned to me last week, then if we look at LED lights, those lights might be able to be funded out of our energy loan that we have. And so that could take care of the fixtures. Now,
Okay.
I don't think it would cover new, I don't know what you call them, casings or whatever, the new ones that we have.
Right.
So that would reduce a little bit, some of that cost. And what I don't know is, you got it from some professional companies, like where you're alluding, I don't know what out of that we can do like we do with a lot of things around here.
Right, like I saw in one of the quotes, part of that was running the electrical
Yeah, we
for
can do
things.
some of that.
Right, TJ? We know, I mean,
Well, she's got
Really?
instruments down here too, and those
Oh, but
instruments over there. are
I'm not
pathetic. I
messing
mean,
with the
when I-
instrument number.
No, I figured
Okay,
fully
good,
funded.
because when I
No.
first seen those instruments, I
That's
I
it,
couldn't
as far as I'm
understand why Ms.
concerned.
And to be
Clark-
quite honest, I think I had
Signed on.
$700 in case you needed it.
something else.
Those instruments were pathetic.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you can mess with that. I came prepared to
20,000?
manipulate the screen.
I think
12.
20,000 would be a good number to start with? for-
Well, I think based on what Dr. Schmidt said on the 5 that's already out there,
Yeah,
you know, I would like to see personally, a good start, I think, would be 10,000 in this line item, which would give 15 towards that.
Okay.
And that would get you a good start. And like I said, when we start developing next year's budget, when we go into this accountable,
Assigned.
sorry.
So
We
we
go to
can
the
take that-
sign thing,
we
and
can
then we
take-
can start saving up for the future.
okay, we can take that 15 and put buy all the refresh the wood instruments, you know, all the reed.
Oh, no, that's a separate line, I don't wanna mess with 55.
Yeah,
That's
leave that
actual,
alone.
I'm
That's
leaving
actual.
55 alone.
Okay.
That's what I wanna
I just
do.
wanted to make sure, because,
I mean, I'm just one person here, but
So you're saying that you want to increase, of the monies that we're talking about now, you want to increase that 5,000 to 10?
yes,
Okay.
at least.
And then we'll have the 5,000 that was already budgeted for that, that's
Right.
hanging out in the,
That'll give,
Reserve
give her
fund, that'll give
15 to
15.
get started with.
gotcha.
That would
I
come to
see
you
what
guys
you
at the
mean.
next
Right.
board meeting, because anytime you take money out of fund balance,
Right.
you guys have to approve it.
Yeah.
So that would come forward now.
Okay,
So
so,
if we give the go-ahead, a lot of these companies will say, yeah, we'll do net 30, we can get started.
right, so then, but see, here's where I'm getting concerned. So right now, if we do that 10,
Right?
and then we fully fund the 31.4 for tables and chairs, then that's only gonna put $62,000 into the fund balance, which means we're spending,
73.5 or 76.
well, we're spending $17,000 more than the 165 that we were anticipating to get, so,
we actually got like 220, because when you add back the transfer from nutrition that we weren't thinking we were going to get. At
oh,
165
I
is
didn't
just
account, I didn't account for
At
that.
165 is only a baby, there's that, what is it, 59 came back from nutrition? Or 53?
I don't know the exact amount, I think we actually did a little bit more to drain it down a little bit more.
You like that?
Yep.
You like that approach? All
I
right.
can tell
So
you.
what
over
does
there.
everybody think about fully funding the 31.4 for tables and chairs? And then 10,000 towards the AV system
Let me go back to that.
with a commitment that at the next board meeting, we'll transfer 5,000 out of fund balance towards that AV system.
For a total of 15.
For a total of 15 to get started this year, and then when we go to the
Unassigned and assigned.
assigned system, then we can start saving up to finish up the.
And you're wanting to do the, you're recommending the full 31.4?
I don't know, I personally would like to phase that in myself, but there is something to be said for volume discount kind of a thing. You know, we may get a volume discount on things if we buy enough for the whole school, whereas if we only buy enough for half, maybe we won't get that volume discount, I don't know.
And I look at too, as we look at the versatility we want within our building. If it's all the same, if for whatever reason we have to move and cross-pollinate with our students, we can, and they're not gonna be impacted by it. Because if something were to happen over here, and for some reason, well, we gotta do math in a junior high wing and there's room, we're gonna take them from something that they're used to and put them back in the draconian chairs. That's my thought on it, and a volume discount too would be nice.
Ed, what are your
Never
thoughts on
know
all
if we
this?
get volume or not, but
When you're ready to throw money at them, they seem to do a little more work for you than when you just call them.
we can try.
I agree with you. Wish we could just fund it all and say the heck with it.
Right. Yeah, I know, right?
There'd be no need for a board.
Well,
And then decrease the fund
That's
balance.
true.
well,
Mr.
But I-
President, do you say fund the financial too? Do you want to fund?
the financial software, well, I think that's absolutely necessary.
Okay.
Yeah, I do too.
Personally,
I agree,
I agree.
Yeah.
I definitely.
I mean, we all know how,
Just
How,
streamline it and take the human air out of it is my biggest.
well, not just that, it's gonna give you more,
Yeah, it's.
it's gonna give you more functionality. You're gonna be able to automatically send those HR reports to the state instead of hand jam them.
Because,
And they don't
our
write
lead's
us
been
up
working
when
on
they
them right
audit
now.
like they did the
Right,
last
and it'll
couple
help us on the
times.
audit, yeah.
Saves time to leave also, because you don't have to chase the leak paper around.
exactly.
It's all right there in the machine.
And they can do everything, you know.
I
And they'll
I
go on
like,
and look and say, oh, yes.
I had
yes,
already
yes.
actually, on my spreadsheet, put that 11,000 in there for that, so all those numbers I was saying had that
So
11,000
parking lot
counted.
paved.
Yeah,
That person came up with that, was just so smart.
well, I don't, you know, honestly,
I hear it runs in the
You're
family.
trying to get some brownie points, aren't you?
so
She's
TJ
not
talked to me
watching
about
tonight.
paving the parking lot at PHE. I mean, I think you're gonna have to do some serious, earth moving, you know, to make that happen. Is that a legitimate number?
I didn't come up with that.
22K for paving the Prairie Heights parking lot?
That
materials
was,
on
Oh, that's materials? So
yeah.
it's not labor and,
Yeah, that was my lovely bride. Actually, it
and
was,
diesel for.
I don't know where she
running
came
around
up with
and-
those numbers at.
that number, she went on the web and did some searching, and asphalt companies advertised it's $350 a square foot to get asphalt laid, and she figured that's about 6,000 square feet.
Yeah, but that's, is
And I
that
think
with
what
or
we're gonna have to do
without?
on there is.
That's not all the movement work, but that's
Right.
them coming in and just laying it and being done.
We'd have to have retaining walls and stuff like that
Right.
too, to make sure the doors,
Especially on
the
that
dirt doesn't
sign, that
pour on
side,
it. and-
away from, furthest away from the school. So I
I
think it's a lot more than 22.
I think it might be a little bit more than 22, but it would definitely be an improvement.
Is that 6,000, is that parking lot 6,000 square feet?
I couldn't say off the
I
top
could
of my
say
head.
yes.
Retaining walls are only short ones though, we don't need that big tall, just
No,
kind
I
of
don't
like a
need the big
curb.
tall ones, no.
It's like a curb, we can probably get a lot of community members to
That house
do that.
directly to the east,
The
you know,
concrete would have to
that,
pay
that,
for
that
it.
comes up and that's the main.
Yeah,
And
that
then-
bill.
Then you got the hillside
Yeah.
that, coming out of Prairie Heights,
That's true,
that tries to wash out our culvert. and-
yeah.
But the nice thing, it's currently excavated in such a way that it is draining the right place.
That ditch, the culvert.
No,
area.
no, not that way, because it's going down to
I
the
mean,
end
south.
of the modular,
Oh,
between the modular
Yeah.
and the trash can area.
yeah.
So we probably have to do some work, if you pave it, you probably have to do some drainage work there to intentionally have a drain to push it out. Because right now, by the time it gets there, it dissipates.
Right.
with
Now,
pavement will have
Is this,
channel.
paving the parking lot, is that just for,
That's
like,
it.
when it rains, there's a lot of mud, like, what is bringing that request? Like, what is driving that?
It's a lot of the mud.
Is there
and-
something that we could do, like maybe lay a less expensive material, like put down some breeze or something like that, that it compacts and it's a lot cheaper?
They have like
And,
a road
the
base chip
community
seal.
members can actually, you know, pitch in and do it. I know my husband, he does a lot of landscaping. You know, I could definitely talk to
And
him
that
about
concrete,
pricing it and stuff. But that would eliminate the mud, it compacts easily, and it's a lot more cost efficient than paving.
they have that crushed concrete you can pick up and do yourself, and also the asphalt. You can do that, and then just get community to rent a roller and just pack it down.
And actually, there's a community member here that I could talk to. He bought our old house, but he owns an asphalt company. And he loans my husband the roller all the time.
There we go.
So we could talk to him,
Yeah.
maybe negotiate, because we do work. We have our own construction company, so maybe we could
Yeah.
barter construction work to let us use the roller at the school. I mean, there's definitely some options
Yeah.
there other than paving, in
And
my
we
opinion.
did save $34,000 before the meeting because we bartered with Cindy Mountain Dew instead of paying her.
That crushed concrete.
And actually Jasmine's gonna buy the
Did I
Mountain Dew,
say
so
that?
we're gonna
Oh,
see.
we're even.
As long as she answers
Ma'am.
the phone, I'll keep buying it.
So,
Yes, ma'am.
if I could touch on with the sound system. One thing with that is both of the systems, the lighting and the sound, it's an infrastructure thing that has to be
Yeah.
replaced to it. And I don't have itemized out specifically what it would take, just getting that amplifier system in, or going to the LED is not gonna work on the power console that we
Right.
have.
Right.
So what I don't know is if, well, the 15,000 being very generous, I don't know what,
You don't know where it's gonna get you.
yeah, if it's gonna be band-aiding what we have, or if it's going to give us the infrastructure piece, y'all talking about if this is a multi-year thing, if it would give us the infrastructure to effectively do that as a
Right.
multi-year thing. So that's my only concern, and with the lighting, I don't know how much you think might be able to come from the other LED fund to add to that. But I was just concerned that the piece there wasn't really gonna give like the long-term fix.
Well, and see, that's the,
What if we cover the console?
So for example, the AV, the quote you got is anywhere from 7,000 to 18,000.
right, yeah.
So we can buy an LCD projector, a good quality one for maybe $1,500.
Now, and honestly, that piece of it, I would say that
Screen there.
could be something we don't even worry about right now.
Right, but your sound up here ranges from 24 to 52.
Yeah,
And all we're getting for that is the amp, mixer that can go to the stage and the back, the speakers, which you have
well,
here,
it's,
and.
Well, and
Okay,
again,
the
not
podcast
to
monitor
be,
doesn't-
pounding on the desk, but that monitor is crucial for those kids when they're up there performing, when they're singing, and even the actors when they're putting on a theatrical production, because they just cannot hear themselves with the new, or the current system, and,
yeah, what comes from the house, yeah, you can't be heard on the stage.
but
And
But
it
no,
would-
but see,
this
there's a
would-
piece that Ms. Clark was talking about that's really crucial is, we have to have an integrated plan of how we're gonna step through this if we're gonna do the multi-year funding.
Sure.
Because, say you've gotta get up in the roof, up in the ceiling to run wires for the audio system. And then next year, you gotta send somebody back up there to run electrical for new lighting. Well, that, you can save money if you run both of that at the same time. So I think if we have that kind of a understanding of what are the different steps in this whole improving, not just the audio and the lighting but the infrastructure to support it. We've gotta, move in that direction.
could we work with the contractor or whoever you're working with and getting the bids to lay it out and say, look, we're looking to phase this in, we're looking to start from this and build upon it. What would be your suggestion? And then possibly they could work with you as far as to do the right steps in the correct order to where we can phase in the funding.
And our basketball coaches like the lighting to go in the gym, so they turn off the lights when the team's introduced. Fancy light show goes on, and we have smoke on. So we will do that in it.
That's down the
I
road.
recuse myself from making a statement.
Would it be cool though?
That would be awesome. That would be
The
phenomenal.
theater lighting, just so you can see up here, that's the most expensive part of it all.
Right.
Except for the one company down there, it's gonna be 40 to 70,000 depending you go with and what level you go with.
And so what did you say was the minimum for audio? To do what we want to do with audio?
Well, that's.
Oh, that's
like
the AV,
projector
sorry,
one, yeah.
the sound right there. Minimum is 24 and the highest is 52. And the difference is in the number of mics, wireless mics and hanging
That's a
mics.
piece of it, yeah. Now on the lighting system, the one company that was the cheapest on that, as I was talking to other companies, like this was one plan, there was some questioning to that of maybe the efficiency of this company, because the power console that we have, and I don't understand quite all the terminology on it, but there's a DMX system that would have to run the LED lights. The one that we have there is proprietary to that specific company, an MMX system that would not run the LED. And this company was quoting to run the house lights off of the old system. He was trying to give us a cheaper option, saying just change the bulbs out to LED and run it off the old dimmer, but the other companies all said, no, you can't do that because those systems wouldn't talk to each other. You wouldn't be able
Current
to bring the
system
house
will
down the
not
way.
dim in LED.
Yeah, so that's, it made me question if that company really, we could spend $16,000, but then end up with a system that's really not correct.
Yeah, fix it
So-
later for more
So I
money.
was a little bit leery of that, and the other one seemed a little more consistent in their price ranging, but they seemed to think that other system wasn't gonna serve our needs or do what it was supposed to. And so then on the sound system, I don't know, if they're not sure what they're doing with the one, do they know what they're doing with the other? I don't
Right.
know. So.
That is perfect.
On the sound system, a piece that could probably be phased in would be some of the microphones. Like if we get the infrastructure, we may not need as many microphones initially to start with. We can, work that in. Because he had also proposed,
These
some
microphones
hanging-
are most necessary right now, though, right?
So, well, yeah, the piece to it is some hanging microphones. Yeah, the head mic system that we have right now, we're down, we had 8 originally, we're down to 5. They're just not very durable. Stay up to the test of time.
As you're going through, I would just remind you that one of the things we talked about was making sure we don't spend too much of this to the point that we have a backup plan for next year to recognize staff with at least a one-time bonus if we don't have the ongoing funds available. And that would cost us probably in the neighborhood about 15 to 20,000 range.
Right.
Depending on the size.
And again, that's one of the things where, so for this magical gift of 165, we projected to put basically $80,000 into the fund balance. And you said another what from food services?
It was like 53 or a little north of 53.
So
came
call it
back to us.
50. So 80 and 50 is 130. Let me just add that in there. Okay, so right now, that's putting $112,000 into the fund balance this year.
And you're looking off the cover sheet of the adopted budget that was presented last week?
Well, no, so yeah, so what I have is, you know, obviously the 165, the 50 from food services, and then that number we talked about at the beginning of the meeting, which is roughly $80,000. And that all adds up to about $295,000. And based on what we talked about this evening, we're talking 183, spending $183,000, which would put $112,000 into the fund balance. That's, you know, fully funding everything that TJ's asked for. The chairs and tables.
So I just want to make sure we're on the right version. So,
So you didn't give us the spreadsheet, save the PDF.
I know, and that was, yeah. So I'm going to go down this list. We have our revenues, that's local, we have our state, we have our federal, altogether our total revenues is 3.5 million. With our fund balance, we're at 3.9. Then when we come down here, our fund balance, this line,
Yeah.
with 109 already in there, right? So 109, we have 86.
What do you mean with the 109?
The original, I'm going to switch over to this one. The original that
That 109?
was presented, which included the things up here, the gym floor, the machine, the engine, the hallway carpet, the electric signs, and staff laptops for the junior, senior high school, and then the science adoption. All of those are in the budget you're seeing now. So if I take that 109 and we're adding 73.5 right now by fully funding the tables and classrooms, 73.5, and I come back over to this amended budget, then we're only going up. Let's see, let me just do this. If I take this minus 73,500, how can we calculate it? What did? 434, and our fund balance to start the year was 421, so then we're only adding 12,000.
Something's way off. Cause yeah, well, I'm basically $100,000 off because I wasn't counting the 109.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so if you pull 109 out of that.
This is the same stuff. I think we're double counting stuff,
Yeah.
is what you have projected.
So what I did for you guys on the bottom of this one, I added a column,
Right.
or a cell, and that cell is the total that we'd be looking at spending is
Right, 182,595, my numbers match.
and I take out the 109, so it's an additional 73 to the adopted budget.
Did you already have that food service transfer put in that, in your?
Right.
Okay,
Okay.
because the budget I pulled didn't have the 109 in it. So I had, the budget I pulled, right, that budget I pulled had the original fund balance prior to this fiscal year is 519,
That was original budget,
fund balance.
but then audited came at 421.5.
Okay,
Plus, then we were gonna add 39,000. So if I take 421 plus 39.
what do you mean add 39 from where?
Our original budget, if you look on the screen.
Oh,
that
right,
cell
right.
Was gonna be an increase of 39, but that was assuming
Okay,
478 starting fund balance, or 479. But the difference there is at $58,000. So if I go back to that 518, or 519, that minus $58,000, it's really 461 if we just kept everything in the original budget. And then the adopted budget with the 109 adds 86,000 to the fund balance. Then going in tonight, we really had, that's what we had to play with.
Unless you want to take stuff off the table from the other list.
Is it okay?
Yeah.
My glasses.
So add what, the number that you think, the number that you think right now, what's our ending fund balance? Based on what we talked about this evening.
If we did everything you guys are talking about, our fund balance would be 12.6.
Oh, that we're adding.
That we're adding, I believe so, because it's 86,000 we had that we were gonna add. And you guys are spending 73.6 of that 86. So our fund balance would go up $12,600.
Is that on top of that 39, or is it only 12?
It is only 12. So that means it's gonna go from 421 to 434.
Yeah, I'm not.
You following that?
No, but, I'll believe you. Man,
Clark's got a question.
From on the original list that come out, the electronic signs was another big ticket item that was
Yeah.
on the 35. And I was just wondering what the vision was for those.
The electronic signs?
Yeah.
You know, just like,
Strategic planning, wasn't it?
yeah,
That's what the community wanted. When we did the strategic planning, that was what they wanted.
That was something they
That was something that was on the
Flashing lights
technology
to
side.
slow the traffic down to go crazy.
Communication,
yeah.
let them know about coming meetings.
It's basically just a lit sign saying Hanover School. If I see that little blue sign, we got
And
to
as the digital.
pursuing the
between last week and today, he updated the budget with some of this, and that's where the confusion is. In my brain.
So how much we short, Randy?
We're not short,
No,
So that's
absolutely.
giving
But
you what they want.
I wanted to put a lot more than 12,000 into the fund balance this year.
If you think about it, we're looking at
Yes,
spending
because we want to do it
$175,000.
ourselves.
So
I'm calculating 182,595.
So here's my question.
Go ahead.
So I'm thinking, how much were we gonna put in initially, 39?
And about 40. Yeah.
Okay, we're not spending over 40, we're only spending 17 over that 165. So if we were gonna put 40 in,
that was, remember, off of
Right.
off of the what?
the
The
original budget.
original proposed budget.
Right, but the original budget was 39,
Right.
and we're only spending an extra 17, it should,
Well, but
still
see-
should be 20.
But see, that's my goal, was, what I think is a comfortable number is about 50,000 to add to the fund balance.
A little bit more.
That's my
So
comfort
you just
number.
want to add more to it?
I want to add more to the fund balance. Because of what we talked about,
Yeah.
what Dr. Schmidt had talked about earlier, about how,
Yeah.
depending on how the funding
Yeah.
falls out in the next budget, we may not be able to raise the base, but we may have enough in the fund balance to give a nice bonus to people, a step level bonus.
That's the equivalent of as if they got raised.
Right.
Are we still getting money back from one of the abatements that you haven't transferred over yet on top of the 165? Because you said you weren't gonna transfer that last
It's all
one from
in.
last year
Right.
until June. So do we still have that, or is that calculated into the 165?
It's in the 165. That's a good question.
Even though you're not transferring it over until a later date?
Right.
Okay.
And
It'd be
remember,
this-
that's,
it'd be
the
this
current
year.
balance is only 148,000 or something like that. So that's why we're just
And
staying.
then you were talking about a compromise, sir.
Now, just so you know, we could hold something off on the list, see what the supplemental is. And remember, supplemental is when the state has more money than they expected, and then they put it out there and we get more money.
When does that come in?
Hopefully we'll know sometime next week, and then it wouldn't come in until probably third week of February, right around our next board meeting.
What would you recommend we hold off the list? I know what I think we can hold off the list, what would you recommend?
I would recommend holding off on, I wouldn't fully fund the tables and chairs in the classrooms yet. Part of it is, part of the initial criteria we talked about is look at something, we should address what we saw that we needed from the mill levy that are one-time expense, not recurring, because we have that opportunity. Because if we do that now and we go off our mill levy again, we can actually ask for less, because we've used our money wisely towards what we said we needed. And then anything else should filter through the strategic plan. And we have said our priorities over the last few years have been making sure our curriculum materials are up to date, making sure our staff is paid well, and those are two big ones.
Well, what about the school signs? That's 35.
Yeah, see,
I mean,
and
what's more
I
important,
think
the
that
seating
based
or
on
the-
the pitch,
Me
that,
personally, the seating.
The kids are more important,
Yeah.
the seating
well,
and stuff.
and based on the pitch that the principal gave, I think fully funding the seating is the right way to go.
I agree with that, only because I've been in that classrooms, they're uncomfortable. You watch them kids, they don't like things.
I would just plan like you're the football coach right
Can
now.
we-
Your play today is really for the play in the fourth quarter. Our fourth
Exactly,
quarter
for
play
later.
here is passing the mill levy eventually.
Exactly.
And so the community they need to be able to have some visual, that's why I'm saying I
Exactly. No, I
would keep the
agree.
sign on. The community does not see what's
No,
inside
they don't
our
see what's in
buildings.
the classroom.
But our community should see when our kids are learning better and they're happier and they're coming home saying, hey, look, we got these new things, I'm more comfortable. I mean, I don't.
Very
I
small
think-
part of the community that has kids in the school.
So that's, just to let you know,
Then why
that
did
was
the
my
sign
thought
matter?
process. I'm not against it. I would
Huh?
love to have
Then
every,
why would a sign
Because
matter?
everybody drives past it every day.
Right now, we're putting
Everybody's a taxpayer of the city.
12
What about no
12
speed
into the
signs?
fund balance.
Huh?
What about no speed zone signs?
Or put it
And
up in the
one half
carpet.
of the school.
Why not, if we fund half the tables and chairs,
and fund one sign.
16 of that,
You
now
know,
we get to 33 into the fund balance. I know it's not.
Well, but I like Dr. Schmidt's idea. What if we fund one sign, wait for the supplemental to fall out, and fund half the table and chairs, and wait for that supplemental to fall out, and that's basically, we're bumping that up 30K, so we're
That where you wanna be?
pretty close to where I wanna be.
Let's do that.
Are we gonna, is there any scale of force buying two signs at once, or is it, you buy one now, one later, it's still the same price?
Same.
Okay.
So do that.
And yeah.
One
same,
sign.
same.
I
Well,
mean,
which taxpayers want the sign at which school? I mean, if that's what we're going off of is the taxpayers, I mean, are there more?
You
there may be
know,
one
think
out
about it
here, or
for,
there are
think
more
about it for
demanding
15
out
seconds,
here?
you know.
I wouldn't go by taxpayers, and yeah, I'd go strictly by children.
Well, he
They
just
need
told-
it over
well,
Prairie Heights.
Well, he just told me that not everyone in this
They
district
don't.
has,
They don't.
but they wanna see their tax money going.
They do, and
To work.
majority of that is over here. The people over here are older, and most of them don't have kids in this school.
So do they want the sign over here then? If
The
we're
sign would
only
be great
putting
over
that-
here,
balance is
but I think we
45.7
should put it over
that we're
there
adding.
because of the children.
You know, we might be able to convince the parks board to contribute some of it, because that sign would be contributing to
park board too?
community events like Hanover Days.
But we have a park
Park
board
board
member in
does-
here, he
Yeah,
can
I know,
talk to them.
I can bring it up, because we're always doing Hanover Days or community things at that park.
Well, and then the fire department could utilize it, the
And
church
if
could
we have more of a
utilize it,
joint-
the park,
There you go.
then you can give everybody, everybody give a little
We might be able
donation.
to divvy that up.
So what about,
What about we fund
Here's-
one sign?
here's another.
Do a fundraiser.
well, TJ's already raised some money for these signs.
Right.
And I think if we talk to the park board and the fire board and try to figure out a way for them to benefit from each of the signs respectively, say we throw 20K at this,
Isn't that the school zone?
It's 75 per sign.
right?
I'd still reduce the speed.
Let's say we throw 20K and say,
Or whatever.
community, board,
Not-
you want 2 signs, fund the rest? No, because we could do it with a supplemental if it falls out right.
I'd rather, our ask should be for the mill levy, or at least for the operating budget.
And are you okay with 1 sign?
I am, and I would put it over here
Because you gotta
first,
have one to
in
show
front of our building here.
Right.
So
And what about
But this is the electronic.
half the chairs and tables?
I am.
You know what I mean?
Would your staff be okay with that?
We'll do the high school first and
Of
then
course, we
future
should,
years
they
do
were
the
at 0
junior.
before you mentioned it.
No, I agree with that. I agree with that.
Luke
How would we
Luke wants to be one of
how would we
those.
decide who gets the table and chairs?
Go to the high school.
Principal, no, principal decide.
He's asking how
Oh,
the high school.
Draw who gets the desk,
It'd be all
who gets
one,
the table.
all 1 week.
Right.
And then we would get a more accurate cost as to what it is.
Yeah, right.
Because right now, they just, this is our, we just throw
Swag.
out.
Swag.
So even if we fund the school 31/4, it might not even spend all of it.
Or it might be short.
Yeah, I don't have his vendor to know if it's the kind of vendor who does. So in the real world of getting savings from vendors, we're like a small customer to them.
Right.
A big vendor would be Academy School District, a large office building. So I don't know how much more discount, we might be able to get like 3% off by, but I don't know who the vendor was to know what they did.
Right.
Do you have any idea where you looked?
Oh, he was in mine, so I don't remember if it was like office max or one
What
of the
would they
second
cover?
But the nice thing is we plug the number here and we save it.
Right.
That money just flows right to fund balance,
Right.
right?
Okay, so you've got 149,395. That's the same thing that I have. Numbers down here need to be fixed, but
So when I go over to the budget, this cell's connected to the other ones, spreadsheets.
46, we can definitely fund the project we want to fund next year with
Which
that.
means the new fund balance will be
And they're all
467.
they're all pretty nice, that shit.
Good?
Yes,
You happy with that?
with doing part of.
Half of the tables and chairs and 1 sign.
I got a question,
Sir.
Randy.
Sir?
On the tables and chairs, I don't understand why we aren't using what we have. We were offered tables, nice tables, from another district the gentleman has on his board, and I don't understand why we don't have them in the school now.
I'm unaware of such a,
Well, I just found out about it, and they're nice chairs, nice tables. I know exactly what he's talking
I
about.
had some, but did we have enough for 100?
He's got 100 and something.
Why don't you speak up?
Trap is, well.
Share with everybody.
Man,
No keeping secrets in a board
No.
meeting, man.
Not
So
really.
a few months ago, I'm gonna talk as loud as I can, I'm losing my voice. A few months ago, one of our neighboring districts said, hey, can you guys use some of this stuff? We got a ton of it, we have some of it over here already. If I'm under, the trapezoid tables that were given to us, you know which ones I'm talking about? They've got the long, if we're looking at doing something like that, we just need to buy the chairs, the more comfortable chairs, and we have gotta be close to 100, if not more, of those trapezoid tables that, just somebody tell me where to unload them at.
So if we buy all
This
the
is a fair
chairs,
question.
Yes.
It's a hand-me-down. What is the quality and the appearance of?
Very nice. So we've gone through some of it already, some of the stuff that was given,
Okay.
but a lot of it, I won't say all of it, but there's quite a bit that is brand new, never been used, that was just kind of like, hey, we never used it, we're upgrading, take it, kind of stuff. Some of it, yeah, it's sat in a storage unit for, it got used for 1 school year, and then it sat in a storage unit for 4 years and never touched again. But more than, I mean, they gave us all of that, you know what I mean? We had to go pick it up, and we did, but we've got.
You got the digital on?
I
What,
saw
you
part of
you only saw 1 load, I know, and there
I
were,
only saw some of like the
TJ, you
chairs
got
that
a
I said
visual
that
on
we could bring in, but they weren't.
I would have to refresh my memory on the tables that he's talking about. We did bring a lot of that over here,
Right.
and we have in the old elementary.
Right.
if we even use those for a year, waiting for the other funds later, and then get tables, we just buy chairs this year.
You know, and
Your tables are 21,000 of the total, so if those tables worked out, or most of them, the 17,000 and there is
There's-
615, whatever it is.
There's a
We
lot.
pay for chairs plus some additional tables, but you shared that, and they were over here, but I hadn't seen them myself.
You're more than welcome to come take a look before we make a decision, you know what I mean, please, somebody, because they're all just sitting in my shop right now.
So the allocation can stay.
Right.
It's just how we utilize, how we use it
Mhm.
is what we're talking about now.
Yeah,
Right?
right.
And that seems like an operations thing that I don't want to be involved in, so.
I was gonna volunteer you.
Are we only
I'm
allocating
gonna
part of
defer
that
to
money? Half of it.
Janelle and her staff who had the idea to make
Push
sure
the tables and
how they
pile
feel
the chairs
it
and
fits.
both
I mean, it
of
sounds like a
Yeah.
reasonable
Well, it don't have to be
consideration.
forever, just for a year even, until we have funds to go out and get the other tables.
Well, you could do,
Look at the tables, like I said, I didn't see them, I saw the one that came through, the one load that had like the chairs and some of the file cabinets
Oh,
and stuff.
absolutely, I just wanted to remind us,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get rid of all of it. There's a lot of stuff
Right.
still
So
there.
once
that-
TJ goes and looks at the stuff and refreshes his memory, can get back with the principal and they can figure out how to work with this.
Did you have a nice big board table that you were able to get?
One without like
You should
two
come
tables.
look.
You had a really long table. You
Tire
told me.
strap.
Yes, I have very nice.
know,
office
both times I said that
furniture,
today.
like-
I do the middle
Yes.
school.
You think they
I'll
fixed it
just
by
say,
now? when
yes,
it's
we,
Are you operating out of the back of your
Two tables.
but no, well, it was.
Okay.
All
All right, so I think we can wrap this up. So Dr. Schmidt, let's go back to your other spreadsheet. And then this is where it's gonna get tricky. I guess I could do it lazily. So if we scroll up, well, we got the same number at the bottom, right? 149,
Yes.
395.
I'm just gonna highlight this
So-
a different color because that was accounted for.
How do we amend the motion, sir? Mr. Roberts Rules expert.
Well, there's no amending to be done because we didn't have a bottom dollar figure to it because he had to make adjustments on the fly. So what we talked about approving is the amended budget, but we didn't have it, we didn't put a number in the amendment. Therefore, whatever the budget is, the motion is there. So what we would have to do is to put a firm dollar on it. We would amend the initial motion, but it'd just be a simple amendment to attach a dollar figure to it.
Okay, and what dollar figure would you amend? The amount that goes into the?
No, you have to amend the full, you have to amend the whole enchilada,
So the
whatever.
bottom line number.
the bottom line number,
So
whatever.
we're essentially.
But the bottom line number doesn't
increasing-
change.
We're increasing expenditures by $40,395. Revenues all staying the same.
Over the budget that you sent us Monday.
Yes.
Okay.
And so that's pretty much what you're saying. is
Right.
So,
Because what we're
the,
doing is we're
amending
approving,
the bottom line.
we're approving the dollar figure, and that's his appropriation to spend in accordance with his presented, his amended spending, whatever you want. His amending spending budget.
right,
So our appropriations resolution doesn't change.
doesn't change, right. The appropriations doesn't change, but the amount that goes into fund balance and what we're gonna spend with this
It's really the
windfall.
expenditures changed.
Okay,
So actually, I don't even think we need, since nothing changed out of the appropriation,
no,
we don't have to amend the motion because
well, but we're not talking about the appropriation resolution right now. We're actually talking about approving the budget.
You could amend it just to say something as simple as presented tonight, or as decided upon tonight. Because we have a recording and a video to document it. These documents I'm gonna put on the website tomorrow, so the community can see it.
how's the budget normally? Like, do you normally throw out a dollar figure that you approve on the spend? Or you-
No,
No, it's really just to
No,
document your.
he gives us the document
Numbers.
and then we
Then we don't have to
approve.
read anything, because it's the document we're approving, not the numbers.
Well, but part of that document
Is
is
that
that
expenditure increase.
number.
Right, so we would just reference,
Yeah,
Right.
just approve it with the increase of 40,395 in expenditure. Is that
Right.
the language?
Yeah,
I think that's right.
I think that's right. You're
I'll
fixing
throw
to
that
try
down.
it?
I'll throw it down. So I would like to make a motion to approve the amended budget
The waiver on stuff, or,
Sorry.
who did the original
Yeah,
motion?
you have to pull that
Oh,
out.
sorry.
Who did the original motion?
Oh, sorry.
Okay, so what you're.
So I want to
the
make
motion-
an amendment.
So what you're doing now is you are amending your original motion.
Okay.
Okay.
To include
That
that number right there.
Increase
Okay,
that.
so I'd like to amend my original motion to include the total that we discussed tonight of 40,395
Additional expenditure.
additional expenditures in the amended budget. Correct? Did I do
And
that right?
that was very good.
Make our second,
Better than I would
make,
have done.
make our
Anybody can second.
second.
Anybody? Okay.
Anybody can second.
403.
All right.
Sorry, go next.
I'm hoping that's the end of the discussion on the amended budget.
For expenditure.
And just for language sake, you know, vernacular here, it's called adopted budget.
Yeah, adopted. I apologize.
No, you're okay. We're learning that too. All right, look over city.
Anything else? Everybody good?
Good.
Everybody's good?
How much is going into the fund balance?
About $48,000.
Okay. Due to the changes that were made.
45,709.
About 46.
Okay, I couldn't read that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Ed, are we happy?
Thank you.
Well, yeah.
Okay, Tag, you good? All right, call for the vote, please.
Okay, Mr. Allen,
Aye.
Ms. Collins,
Aye.
Mr. Smith,
Aye.
Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye.
God, they didn't see that one.
That's right, you got that bottom line number you gotta meet.
Luke and I are going on a vacation.
All right. So, now we have 4.03, the appropriations resolution, and it has to be read into the record. So I will make a motion to approve the following resolution. Appropriation levels budgeted for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2017, and ending June 30, 2018. Be it resolved by the Board of Education of Hanover School District 28 that the amounts shown in the following schedule be appropriated to each fund as specified in the adopted budget for the ensuing fiscal year beginning July 1, 2017 and ending June 30, 2018. General funds, $3,204,859. Food service, $225,844. Pupil activity, $72,200. Bond redemption, $743,000. Capital reserve, $204,634, for a total appropriations of $450,537.
$4,563,720.
Okay, way too different.
You said it was in the packet. This is from the packet.
It is. Here's the only thing I can think of. Remember I had, the CDE guy created this? I'm guessing he pulled from cells on the other spreadsheet when we were changing numbers.
Okay.
So,
All right. I withdraw my motion. I was looking for the word.
you get to read all over again. You want to stay
No,
here?
no. Mr. Vice President, sir, would you do me the honor?
Sure.
Okay, so,
Can you
can I
see
start a
that?
motion?
So I want to read those
I'm going to
numbers.
read that.
All right.
Go ahead and stand up there.
We're going to watch your public speaking.
That's fine.
Do you agree?
It can't do well.
So I want to start with that, making a motion, or be it, because I'll just read that.
Just read that. Just read that.
All right. Be it resolved by the Board of Education of Hanover School District 28 that the amounts shown in the following schedule be appropriated to each fund as specified in the adopted budget for the ensuing fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017 and ending June 30th, 2018. General funds, $3,318,042. Food service, $225,844. Pupil activity, $72,200. Bond redemption, $743,000. Capital reserve, $204,634, for total appropriations of $4,563,720.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion, questions, comments?
This is something we learned, we were supposed to have been doing, that we haven't been doing.
Understand.
So we are on track.
Any other questions, comments, discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Mrs. Combs?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. And do you have the other one ready, Mr. Superintendent?
Yeah.
All right, so I've been educated in this meeting. Apparently, the president can't make a motion. So, do I have a motion to approve the 2017-18 amended budget fund balance resolution?
I make a motion to approve the
Go read
amended
it.
budget.
After whereas, I'll scroll down to the result.
All right, start here again, right?
Yep.
All right. Whereas CRS 22-44-105, 1.5A states that a budget duly adopted pursuant to this article shall not provide for expenditures, inter-fund transfers, or reserves in excess of available revenues and beginning fund balance. Whereas the Board of Education may authorize the use of a portion of the beginning fund balance in the budget, stating the amount to be used, the purpose for which the expenditure is needed, and the district's plan to ensure that the use of the beginning fund balance will not lead to an ongoing deficit. And whereas the Board of Education has determined the beginning fund balance in all funds will be used to support only non-recurring expenditures, and this action will not lead to an ongoing deficit and is the most fiscally responsible approach for the district. Be resolved in accordance with CRS 22-44-105, 1.5A, the Board of Education authorizes the use of a portion of the fiscal year 2017-2018 beginning fund balance for the following funds. Food Service Fund, $63,194. Is that it?
You probably should read the non-recurring.
Okay, I'm sorry. Non-recurring use of fund balance by reducing the general fund transfer for 1 year.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Discussion, sir.
This is another thing that he shared with us you should be doing, especially because the way the food service transfer comes in prior to all of our other, I keep looking at the city, she's pretty escaped, all of our other money coming in. So we do an initial transfer over from our fund balance to support it.
Okay.
So
Does that, any of that come back?
it does in the way we do our transfers in the budget. So if we put 63 in and our budget says 70, then we would only be transferring an additional 7. If it ever says that we're pulling money back, then we pull that amount back. Aaron Oberg has been very helpful. To be quite honest with you, I had no clue we were supposed to be doing this kind of thing at the beginning of every year.
And we don't need to do it with any of the other funds?
Only food service.
Okay.
Yeah, we did ask that question as well.
Okay.
We did a, just so you know, the other one is bond redemption. We do have a resolution on file which the board approved moving that money upon redemption.
Do we then subsequently have to make a resolution to pull
We
it back?
thought the same thing would make sense, but no, because we were saying we're taking money out, but when you're bringing it back, you're not needing to approve. Hey, can we really take fund balance money and put it over here?
Right. Okay. All right, questions, comments, any further discussion? Call for the vote, please.
Mr. Allen?
Aye.
Ms. Combs?
Aye.
Mr. Smith?
Aye.
Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye. Sorry. Any other business? Hearing none, do I have a motion to adjourn?
I make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh, I'll do better. Hold on, I have to finish. The motion carries, meeting's adjourned.
So he's gonna help us when we do the proposed budget, so he maintains another resolution.